Hey, so tonight we're talking about a fun but scary topic for a lot of us who are newly divorced or trying to figure out when is the right time to get back on the dating scene as you're going through your divorce. And there's no simple answer to this, just like any other question around divorce. It's really has to do with each person individually, but what I wanted to talk about tonight for a little while is how the principles that I base family transitions off of, which is how to apply compassion and empathy and gratitude to your divorce, that really can help guide you as you're trying to move through the dating world as well. So a few months ago, I wrote an article about, you know, if you were going to put an ad out there on some social media or dating site, what you would be looking for. And I was joking around and saying your profile should say, like, you're seeking someone who is friendly with their ex. And when we're talking about shattering the paradigm that we've all been working under in this society surrounding divorce and rebuilding your family after that and what your divorce process is going to look like, we should really apply that to our life after the divorce too, and our social life. So what I wrote about was that, you want someone who's friendly with their ex, and that takes a lot of empathy on your part to understand why their spouse is going to play an important role in their life. And compassion for the needs that they might have. They need that other person in their life to be a strong co-parenting team, and that's so important for the kids. And so as the person who's coming in to date that person, you need to really kind of put your own ego aside and understand that there's going to be a really new paradigm here for what this looks like. You're dating someone that has a history, that has a life that was important to them, and you need to be supportive of that as well. So I always joke with my friends and my clients, if the person that you're dating hates their spouse or has nothing good to say about them ever, or is in a situation where they're still embroiled in all the toxicity of the divorce, that's going to be a really hard situation for you to be in, number one, especially if you're kind of following along with the principles of family transition and trying to rise above that or change that paradigm. So dating someone who's still really embroiled in that is going to be hard, or a challenge. But also, it really tells you a lot about the person themselves if they are moving forward with compassion and empathy towards their spouse and towards their new life. And so it really kind of lets you know from the beginning that maybe you're in a place of alignment, so to speak, where you've got similar philosophies and attitudes, and that you're both going to be supportive of each other as you try to navigate your situation post-divorce and they try to navigate theirs. And in that situation, then you can be a really good team for each other. So and another big part of this is being conscious of where they are emotionally on their journey. And so often people meet after the divorce and somebody is ready to rush right into the next thing. And that sometimes is a warning flag too, because they haven't kind of processed everything that was going on in their divorce. They haven't really come to terms with this new life that maybe they didn't want, but now is going to be a reality for them, and how do they pick up and rebuild. So if you're not on the same place emotionally in that respect, it doesn't mean you can't date. It just means that you just need to be aware of what your expectations are. And just because someone is still kind of moving through the rebuilding phase after their divorce doesn't mean they can't be a great companion for you. You just have to be okay with where you are, and if that's okay with you. But regardless of where you are emotionally on that spectrum, I think really kind of analyzing where they are in terms of their relationship with their spouse is interesting. And now we all also know people who it doesn't matter where they are in terms of their attitude towards their spouse. The spouse is always going to be full of anger or resentment or whatever. And that kind of is a little bit of a different challenge, because the person you're dating then, they might be in that situation, or you might be in that situation, but you have to understand that they can only control themselves and you can only control yourself. So even if the spouse, who's no longer in the picture and really isn't part of your new relationship, is still full of anger and resentment about the divorce, that doesn't mean you need to let that wash into your new relationship. And there's always going to be times when you need emotional support from the person you're dating, or you're having a bad day, and they're going to be a sounding board for that. But I do think it's key to not let whatever is going on with a third party influence or interfere with what's going on in your relationship, because you and your new, love interest, whatever you want to call them, your companion, really can only control what's going on with yourself, and you can only control how you show up in that new relationship. So I wouldn't say, just because they're not friends with their spouse, that means it's a deal breaker. Really just look at how they are acting in relation to their spouse. If they've kind of let go, or if they're in a place where they are at peace with the situation, they understand they can't control the other person, it really is what it is, then that's really good. Then they're using characteristics of mindfulness and the emotional intelligence principle of self-awareness to really manage their external circumstances, or not let their external circumstances interfere in this new life that they've built. So you're going to see situations on both sides. Now, if your spouse is, or your significant other is still friendly with their spouse, I also have had clients where people don't want to date someone who is friendly with their ex-spouse. I think that's more about the person, who comes into that situation. Like, if you don't want to date someone who is friendly with their ex-spouse, then you have to think about, what is it about your self-esteem or your confidence that's threatened by that? And just take it slow. You'll know very quickly whether or not they're still carrying a torch for their ex-spouse, or they really just are a fabulous team for their kids. And that is totally possible. More and more people who are trying to get divorced, the way family transitions is trying to change that paradigm, where it's a more amicable, emotionally intelligent, informed process. Those people are friendly after the divorce. They have at least a cordial operating arrangement. And when that happens and each party starts dating someone else, it's really almost a best case post-divorce situation for your kids. Because if you can be friendly with your spouse's new significant other and vice versa, that gives your kids such a level of security, and it's just more people to love them. And so it really is that quintessential, new American blended family when everyone can do that. So I've had clients where the, guy they were dating stepped back and said they couldn't be part of that. I think that's a confidence issue on their part. And then I've had clients where both parties get remarried, and all of those adults are at the birthday parties, and all of those adults pop over at Christmas. And it's just a really fabulous situation for the kids. So, I'm a, hardcore Italian girl, so I always believe that more the merrier. And I know that's not always comfortable at first, if your ex-husband's showing up with his new wife to the kid's birthday, but trust me when I tell you, it gets easier with time and starts to feel natural. and there's a bunch of people there, so you might just need to say, hey, it's great to have you, and what can I get you to drink? And then you're off doing your thing, and they're talking to other people at the party. But it really is a best case scenario for your kids. So don't be afraid to get out there and date. Just really try to be compassionate and empathetic about where the other person is coming from as you go on that journey, and be really compassionate to yourself and honest with yourself in understanding, where you are. Are you okay to just be casual because we can't think about anything bigger right now? Or if you want more, then maybe you have to part ways as friends, but there's always something to be gained in those relationships, and always something to be learned and new friends to be made. So don't be afraid. Spring is coming. They always say love is in the air, right? So spring is coming. So get back out there and just be good to yourself and to the people you encounter on your road to new found love. So thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.